IGN Rewind Theater is presented by Remember Me. Coming to consoles and PC June 4th. Remix memories, change the world.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Rewind Theater for Batman Arkham Origins. I'm Greg Miller, alongside the Dark Knight of News, Andrew Goldfarb.
And we're watching the real Dark Knight.
Oh, I see what you did there, because he's Batman. That's what you're named out. Now, a lot of people at home, I bet they're watching this going, Goldfarb, Greg, this trailer's like 9 seconds long. How are you rewinding it in any way, shape, or form, in any way helpful? What we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, explain some characters and explain the rumors and the facts of what we know about Batman Arkham Origins, right, Goldie?
Right.
So let's start with who this guy is right here for people who aren't paying attention at home. That's Deathstroke, the Terminator. You know anything about him, Goldfarb?
He's an assassin. He's kind of a cool villain for Batman because it requires like fighting hand to hand, like physical stuff for Batman. It's not like a psychological villain the way that like the Joker, or Riddler, or some of those other guys are. Like this is, as you can see here, someone who can match him. He's as fast as him. He's as strong as him.
Right. He's a physical equal. If you didn't know about Deathstroke the Terminator, he slayed Wilson. He was number 32 on IGN's list of the best comic book villains. I like Deathstroke the Terminator because he is like Batman. He just went the other way, right? He trained himself to be this master assassin who can hang in there with these superheroes and take them out and really outthink them in a lot of ways. He's much like Batman, right? He's too smart for his own good, if you will. One of my favorite things, Goldfarb, is there's this fight in the JLA has with him at one time, and Kyle Rayner, who was the Green Lantern at the time, gets up close and personal with Deathstroke, and what Deathstroke does is grab his ring hand, and they stop, and Kyle can't make any constructs out of the ring, and then he doesn't understand what's happening. He asks Deathstroke, they're like face to face, what are you doing? And Deathstroke says, I'm testing a theory. You know, your ring is based on willpower. I think my willpower is stronger than yours. So he was using Kyle's ring without actually getting the ring on, which I just thought was a really, really cool thing.
When you know you're tough.
Yeah, it showed how psychotic this guy really is.
Yeah.
He first appeared in the Teen Titans. He's a mercenary. He's got a daughter named Rose Wilson. But since Arkham Origins just so happens to be a prequel, I doubt we're going to see anything from Rose in there. Oh, he also shot Kid Flash in the knee, which was awesome. He said, kids shouldn't wear costumes. I thought it was great.
I mean, you mentioned it's a prequel, right?
Yeah.
That ties in really well. Like, so Deathstroke, as far as we know, is one of 8 guys coming to murder Batman in Gotham City on Christmas Eve.
Right.
And it takes place before Arkham Asylum, before Arkham City. It's before all that. It's when Batman's still kind of not quite himself yet. He's in training. He's
right.
Kind of
the famous line they put, quote, a young and inexperienced Batman, end
right.
quote.
Which he doesn't look that inexperienced here.
I mean, I guess like we're taking it too literally, right? Like he's inexperienced at being Batman, right? Like it's like Batman Year One in a way, or Batman Begins, where he's already been trained to be a master, ninja. Like he's obviously great at hand-to-hand combat. I don't think you're gonna get in there and stumble all over the place. Your cape gets caught in your head. I'm sure there'll be a few fun moments like that. You know what I mean? Like
sure,
little nods, but I doubt it'll be the worst thing in the world. Of course, this is coming to PC, PS3, Xbox 360, Wii U, all on October 25th. Crazy because they just announced this game not too long ago, Goldfarb.
Yeah, it's not a long wait, and I mean it's cool because one of the things the Arkham games are really good at is kind of these cameos before we actually meet these villains, right? You know, like Mr. Freeze, you see his cage or whatever, his prison cell in Arkham Asylum, but then he's in Arkham City later. Deathstroke actually briefly appeared in the mobile game, I believe, Arkham City Lockdown, and it's just cool how they're kind of building this what do you call it earlier, the Arkhamverse, I believe.
Yeah, the Arkhamverse.
They're kind of creating this separate mythology for this incarnation of Batman, which is really smart.
Yeah, it's interesting. Game Informer had the reveal on this. They talked a lot about how you're inside, you're starting out as Batman. Gotham City Police don't know what to make of you. They're going to be more hostile. Jim Gordon, of course, not Commissioner. He's just going to be Captain Gordon, right? Good old Captain Jack.
They're going to call him Captain Crunch, I think.
Are they? Is that really what they're going to call him?
Well, probably not.
No, probably not. I don't think so. But we're talking about, differences here. If you look at the bat symbol on Batman's chest, let me get a good shot of it. There's one back here, I do believe. It's different. The bat suit, obviously not what we saw in, there's a great shot of it, Arkham City, Arkham Asylum, right? We're talking about the horns being shorter.
Yeah, Kyle's a little different. It looks like it's, I believe it was like darker gray, a little more muted in Arkham City, Arkham Asylum. Here it's like very much black, very noticeable.
You see there's also like breaks in it, right? It looks a lot like what we saw in the Batman movies, the Nolan movies, right? Where it was different plates over like mesh, whereas before it was more of like in Batman Arkham City, Arkham Asylum, it was more of just like one.
It's like armor in those movies.
Exactly. Another addition here is that supposedly the Gotham City you're playing in, which again, like you said, Christmas Eve, so people are in their houses, they're not all over the street. Kind of a
thin excuse.
Excuse for why you don't have to animate pedestrians and there's all these criminals out probably. But it's twice the size of Arkham City. That's why they've introduced quick travel, apparently, through the Batwing. Yeah,
Which is like perfect, because I mean, like Arkham City, I mean, in the grand scale of things, like compared to Grand Theft Auto or whatever, it wasn't like that big of a world, but it's still big enough that like you want to be able to get from place to place quickly. If this is that much bigger, like if it's a true open world game, you definitely need that.
Now, rounding out the facts that we actually know, because there's very few hard facts to go around Goldfarb. Rocksteady. They did Arkham Asylum. They did Arkham City. They created this whole. They rejuvenated Batman games. They aren't doing this game.
Right.
Who's doing it?
So this is WB Montreal now, and the previous director, Sefton Hill, has now been replaced by this guy. What is it? Eric Holmes.
Eric Holmes. Yeah. He's again. Sefton hasn't been like replaced. It's just like
I'm just saying
this is like if Rocksteady's on one side of the mirror, over on the WEB Montreal side, you have Eric Holmes, who was lead designer on Hulk Ultimate Destruction and Prototype.
The Light World and the Dark World.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. He's Sefton Hill's new counterpart, and Sefton Hill endorsed him. I mean, or endorsed WB Montreal, said that they're kind of passing along their technology. They're ready to see them take over the mantle of Arkham, at least for now.
Yeah, quote, Rocksteady is excited to see WB Games Montreal developing the prequel to the Batman Arkham franchise. We are confident this talented team will craft a fantastic experience, bringing the origins of the Arkhamverse to life. So I guess he said it.
You do a really good Sefton Hill.
I know. I know Sefton Hill, and he is not happy that that's how he came off in that impression.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's smart, right? I think they're, like I said, they're building this Arkhamverse. They're kind of doing a nice job of fleshing this out more and more each time.
Yeah. So let's talk about then rumors, Goldfarb.
The big rumor is that WB Montreal isn't the only, new gang in town, as it were. There's Kevin Conroy, who everyone knows is Batman. He's Batman in everything.
The animated series, the Justice League, Injustice,
he's been around games forever, reportedly not reprising his role as Batman in this game.
Insanity.
Which goes hand in hand with Mark Hamill saying many times that he's done playing the Joker.
Yeah, he thought that he made a comment that, Arkham City was his final time being the Joker, and since then he hasn't done he didn't do, I don't know if they approached him for Injustice, but Kevin Conroy came for that, and he didn't, which was interesting.
And so, I mean, it's going to be very interesting, very hard to get used to a different Batman and potentially a different Joker in this game, but, that's what we're hearing.
See, and they make I wonder how hard it will be, because I think for comic book fans like myself, we're so used to seeing the character reinterpreted, right? Like, you look at Lego Batman 2, that was the first time they brought voices to it. I thought Troy Baker did a great job as Batman. And you look at other forms of the media, like there have been cartoons, right? Like, especially the digital movies that are standalone that come out, and the Batman voice is in Kevin Conroy, right? Like when you look at Dark Knight Returns or stuff like that.
I mean, it depends on what they do, right? If it's a totally new, unique take on it, that's always better than if they're essentially trying to mimic the previous person's voice,
And that's what's weird about this one, right? Is that technically it's a prequel leading into the Batman games we've already played,
right,
and the Batman animated series we've already seen, right? Kevin Conroy has talked about this being an extension of those. They made references in the game that played back to the animated series. So to now have, we've seen young Bruce Wayne before, right? But when they maybe not this young, but it was still Conroy, I think, at the time and all those things. So it'll be interesting to see how they flash
I
it
think
back.
the very end of the game he gets punched in the throat, and then he holds up a little sign that's like, "My voice will never be the same."
Well, then, it'll be interesting if they do that. Like, I mean, that would limit them to this being the only prequel, I guess.
Sure,
but if
sure.
they did do something at the end of it, where it finishes and all of a sudden he talks like Kevin Conroy, that'd be weird. Because I have to imagine, right, there's going to be there's so many great you see it in the Batman Begins movie, right, where Bruce starts using that different voice, and there's an awesome line in the Batman where Alfred in Batman Comics says to Master Bruce as he's leaving, he's like, that voice we had to practice, that gravelly Batman voice we had to practice so many nights. He's like, you're doing it all the time now. Like, he's like, when Batman takes over, there is no more Bruce Wayne. I thought that was an awesome line, so it's interesting to see that. Something also, one of the rumors, a big one, multiplayer. Kotaku says that they have a source, an anonymous one, who says at least one multiplayer mode in which you'll play as a member of the Joker or Bane's gang while trying to take down Batman and Robin. Villains involved in the mode, which may be playable and customizable, are said to include Killer Croc, Deadshot, Firefly, Black Mask, Deathstroke, and some kind of Electro Man character.
Sounds like a Colin Moriarty quote.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Now, some of those villains have been confirmed. Well, not confirmed.
Right, so there's this Sandy that was on display in some UK retailers, and it showed off, it had Scarecrow and Bane, Killer Croc.
Joker was there too, yeah.
Joker, yeah, and a few other people on it. We're assuming that confirms them for this game. Some people are thinking maybe it was just meant to be a retrospective of the Arkham series, showing prior villains.
Interesting.
But I mean, I think it's a pretty safe assumption that Joker will be in this game, that you'll see a lot of those guys. Because like I said earlier, even if they're not villains that you necessarily have like a showdown with or an actual fight with, in some capacity it'll make a cameo. You know, I think it's a safe assumption.
Right, like, yeah, I mean, not knowing if Joker's in the game or not, like, I wouldn't put it past him having Red Hood, right? Like, playing through the part that creates Joker or whatever.
Yeah, that would be great. That would actually be really interesting to, you know, and that would be a good way to, you know, explain why he has a different voice at that point, would be to tell us his origin story or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
It is called Origins.
It is. There it is. Hold on. There it is. Batman Arkham Origins. You might be wondering why we're not rewinding like classic things. Really, there's not much to see or say. We've gone through this. You know, the snow makes me think that, yeah, for sure, Mr. Freeze will be in there somewhere, even though it's a Christmas time game. But there are these clips throughout, like they're fighting in this, you know, stockyard, train car yard or whatever, this dock, if you will, and there's stuff back there. Well, we already know the release date, October 25th, so I'm not looking at anything crazy there. There's no Wayne Industry code back there that I can see. I
mean, if you want to go back to that freeze frame you had a minute ago, I don't even know if you can.
Or lights, just even not Christmas lights.
Exactly. In the background, you see buildings, you see lights. You know, this is very much all of Gotham City. You know, it's not. I believe they said they're splitting into Old Gotham and New Gotham. You know, you're going to see these kind of. You're going to see Gotham be an actual city more than we've seen before, because even Arkham City is essentially like a
flooded out, broke down Gotham.
Exactly.
And they talk about it in the Game Informer article, right, that familiar locations like Amusement Mile and the Bowery will be there, but then there is this entirely new new island called New Gotham. So yeah, we'll see exactly what's going to be there.
Which is good. I mean, you don't want them just reusing.
Well, yeah, and that's the big challenge for them, right? Like we're talking about the fact that it seems like a cop out to have this empty streets because of Christmas, right? But how are they going to explain this again, like cities that aren't alive and well? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like Arkham City had the whole reason that it was walled off and only criminals were in there, so you always had something to do. But in a real Gotham, you can't do that. You have to have random crimes and things for Batman to go stop and regular people to be around.
Do you think this is finally going to be the Arkham game where we get to drive the Batmobile around the city?
No. Why would they make such a big deal about the Batwing?
True.
You know what I mean? And in Lego Batman, I drove the Batmobile.
Oh,
and a whole bunch of other vehicles.
And
a UFO! Brainiac's UFO! Before we turn it off here, though, the last piece of factual information you need to know, Arkham Origins Blackgate. Tell me all about it, Goldfarb.
So that is coming out the same day as this, I believe. It's kind of the portable iteration, but it sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's after the fact of this game.
Exactly. So it sounds complimentary. It actually, I believe... yeah, I believe it does take place after, I think they've said.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, and
3DS, Vita.
That's yes, 3DS and Vita. It's not like this. It's not meant to be you know, this kind of third-person, you know, melee combat game. It's actually a side-scrolling platformer, 2.5D. It's being developed by Armature, which is some ex-Retro guys who worked on Metroid Prime, and it looks really cool. I mean, you know, we've only seen some screenshots. We haven't seen it in action yet, but I really, the sound of it, like it sounds like it could be.
Yeah,
really
IGN's article described it as a 2.5D Metroid-style exploration action game. So. Metroidvania pretty much sounds like it, right?
I mean, like, that's, you know, Arkham Asylum, you know, kind of was the, you know, that Metroidvania type of game where you couldn't access certain areas until you got certain tools, and I mean, they're smart. They've built that in the franchise already, so I think it'll adapt really well to that.
So, ladies and gentlemen, those are the rumors, the facts, everything we know about Batman Arkham Origin. Maybe the most important one, though, other than the release date, October 25th, that on May 20th, the full trailer is going live. So hopefully, if they go the way of Rocksteady, you know, they'll toss some gameplay in there. Of course, Rocksteady did it back in the day for Arkham City's debut trailer. It was, you know, Batman in a similar CG like this that was just Hugo Strange talking over it. And then their later trailers all showed gameplay.
Sure.
I don't know if it'll just be more of this fight. I hope not. I hope we get to see some real gameplay, see it in action, maybe hear the new Batman voice, find out who that is. If that is a new Batman voice, maybe it's Kevin Conroy, which would be awesome too.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot we don't know yet, which is exciting. Yeah. And I you know, watching this and seeing some more Batman-style combat actually made me really excited again. So.
Sure. Yeah, totally. To get back into it and have that experience and have a new world to go around, and I'm super pumped for. And I continue to be pumped for everything about video games. And if you're pumped for everything on this, if you want video game information about Batman Arkham Origins, make sure you keep it here on IGN. And come back on the 20th for a Rewind Theater of that trailer. Maybe Goldfarb and I'll have some, you know, actual hard facts to tell you about what you're watching. Other than that's Deathstroke and that's Batman. Beyond.